Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another breakfast with Blaha. And today I'm having steamed vegetables and grilled chicken breast. All right, let's talk about rotating bars for speed work, because most of you guys know here speed work's a big part of what we do on this channel, big part of what I do with my clients. And you guys can watch enough of their vlogs at this point. They all do speed work. But one of the things that's kind of intrinsic to speed work is rotating it in 3-week waves. And that seems to work best. We've had discussions about why that seems to be the case. But that's definitely something that's done. They're run in 3-week blocks, and then you change something. Now, a lot of people who don't have different equipment, we get somewhat limited. We get limited here. Maybe people in commercial gyms. But one of the things that I've noticed is that more and more commercial gyms have at least 1 or 2 specialty bars. Right? They're becoming more common. You see more of them. I get clients who go to normal commercial gyms who you look in there, they have a safety squat bar. There's a football bar. Might be a trap bar, which I'm not as big of a fan of. But you're seeing this stuff more and more, and it's a good thing. But the other thing people say, well, what about my home gym? Well, you need to have specialty bars. Right? They're make a good use of space. They're inexpensive. They add to your versatility of your gym very, very quickly. Very quickly. And in fact, band setups are really cheap to do at home in your home gym. Assuming you have a rack and a way to hook them up. But we change things. And people without a lot of equipment, what do we end up changing? Sometimes we're very limited. On bench, we might just run the waves over and over with a normal power bar. Right? We might do a floor press. We might do overhead press for those who really care about it. Most of my lifters shouldn't. But we could do a floor press, couldn't we? What about squats? Change box heights. Right? You'll get people who will say, well, couldn't we do a pause squat? No, you can't do a pause squat. Do a box squat. You could change box heights. You can add or subtract an inch. It's easy to do. You should have adjustable boxes anyway. You should be using mats or pads like I do. That's ideal. But even then, most of the time, a lot of the boxes people have are well below parallel. You can stack them on a 1-inch board, piece of plywood, bumper, thinner bumper plates. These are things that can all be done. Sorry guys, there's a bug on my glasses. So these are options. All right, a very common one is bands and chains. Run bands for one wave, chains for another. Fewer people have that set up though than have access to specialty bars. Well, what do you usually say? Louis Simmons say, like, bands are best for speed work, right? They are best. Get the most out of them because of the nature of bands. So if we're going to run bands, what's the optimal setup? And I haven't always done it this way, and I've realized more and more it works better, and I should. What works if we're going to run bands? Just change bars. Now, of course, deadlift, you can always go sumo to conventional, but what if you're really biased towards one and you need to do more of one than the other? All right, we could still rotate bars there. So what do we mean by rotating bars? What you guys see me do commonly when I rotate bars on a box squat, I go from my safety squat bar to a cambered bar. Now, we can make an argument that doing them with a straight bar, if you don't need to, is not the best choice. Why? Because it's harder on your shoulders. Right? We have these specialty bars for a reason. A lot of them are phenomenal for unloading your shoulders. Your shoulders don't have to work as hard, especially if you're going through some rehab, shoulder inflammation, you're bench specializing. Right? Having those bars helps, but I like to use the rackable cambered bar and the safety squat bar back and forth. If you have access to a buffalo bar, which a lot of people do, They're easier to get. A lot of companies make decent ones now. Not really a problem. Okay. Rotate through those bars. Rotate through those bars, and then just keep the bands on, heavy band tension. Extremely effective. Deadlift, what if you aren't rotating sumo and conventional? What if you only do one for a reason? Most of the time. Just change bars. You have different stiffnesses of bars. Some of your bars are going to flex more than others. You could have a stiff bar and a deadlift bar, or a stiff bar and an Olympic bar. They're different. We've changed bars. It changes the strength curve. All right? And you'll really notice that whip difference when you go over to heavy bands. You can change barbells. It's an option. Benching. Same thing. How many different bars do we have we can bench with out there? Usually got a straight bar. Could you do speed work with an axle bar? That would be interesting. I've never tried it to this point. Might be interesting. But you got power bar, which is what we do most of it with on there. You could do a buffalo bar, a football bar. I know a lot of guys who love speed work with their football bars. And again, football bars are cheap and they're common. You see them at a lot of gyms. Right? That works really well. Rotate through those. Change bars every 3 weeks. Okay, change the bar every 3 weeks. This allows us to continually avoid adaptation. We're trying to avoid the law of accommodation, right? Because the longer you do something, the less you get a training response from it. This is why we change variables in training. It's not based on muscle confusion, because bodybuilders with muscle confusion come in and do random stuff day to day. They're not scheduling a change. They're not saying, hey, every week I'm going to change this on a max lift. They're not coming in and running 3-week waves of anything. They're just picking random stuff to shock the body. With this, we systematically look at it and go, with each subsequent week, on a lot of things, we get a larger training response. And on the 3rd week, it's greatly diminished. On the 4th week, unless we're just stimulating pure hypertrophy at that point, we may not be getting a new adaptation. So in that case, we want to change something. And bars, specialty bars for things like speed work, is one of the biggest changes you can make, right? Because it completely usually changes the range of motion, the center of gravity, everything on that explosive movement. And then it teaches you to have to stay tight and explode through vastly different angles. Works very well. All right, guys. Well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.